What's going on, guys? Aaron here, checking in with you on Friday once again. And today I just want to take a couple minutes and talk to you about how to know when it is time to step away from the activity you're doing. And it doesn't mean like step away. It means take a break. Reset before you relax is kind of how I like to think of that. I use that analogy in my restaurants all the time. We do a rush, reset, then relax. Our bodies need to do the same thing. So I'm going to go over a couple ways that you will know when it's time to do that and what you should do when it is time to do that. So, a couple things. We're going to go over systemic fatigue. It's been a big thing for me lately. I've just experienced it myself. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm just working my way through it right now, which is good. But it's all about listening to your body, and that's exactly what I did. So now, I'm gearing up to get back at it. So the first factor into realizing that it is time to take a break is, how is your exercise going? And this doesn't necessarily, mean weight training. This can be anything. It could be cycling. It could be, fucking yoga, hot yoga if you're into that shit. I don't know. Again, cycling, rowing, anything, right? Any kind of physical activity. And this goes for work as well, by the way. And we'll just use weight training as the prime example because that's what I do. If you're in the gym and you're noticing your progression has steadily declined over the last, several days, because it'll happen real quick. It won't just be one of those things that, it does take a little bit, but when you notice, you're going to notice. And that will mean that your exercises are just not going the way they were a week ago. And that might mean you're not lifting as heavy, you're doing less sets, you're doing less reps, your technique is failing. That's a big one. If your technique starts to fail, a couple factors. One, you might need to drop the weight, stop ego lifting. Two, it might just be time for a break. It might be time for a deload week. Another factor is if your work is really starting to suffer, and we're talking outside of the gym, right? And you're finding yourself exhausted, you are more on edge, you're quicker to get upset, to be angry, you're being a jerk to people. Like there's a lot of different things that can come with this. But if you start noticing that, there's a good chance that you're about to experience systemic fatigue, because it's one thing for our muscles and our bodies to get tired, to get sore, and to not want to work as hard. It's when your mind starts doing that too, and your emotions start getting the better of you. It's time to step back, because chances are you're about to crash, and not only crash, you're going to crash hard, and you're going to be more prone to injury when that happens. So generally, when it comes to weight training, every few weeks you should do a deload, because you're pushing your body so hard, you're pushing your muscles, you're pushing your joints. Eventually something's going to give. And that's generally what happens. It's what happened to me. I've been experimenting with all this stuff, knowing full well that, yep, I'm going to crash. I'm going to hit systemic fatigue. I want to get to that point. I pushed myself to systemic fatigue on purpose, just so that I know what I'm talking about, for starters. And I've done enough research to know, one, when it's coming, two, how to get past it. So that's going to be the biggest thing, knowing when it's coming. And you can start feeling it. this could even go, again, when you're going for a bike ride. Say you did 20 miles and you did that in a half hour. And then a couple days later, because you're an avid biker, you do this all the time, you did 20 miles and it took you 40 minutes. You did the same route, same bike, same clothes, same weather, all the same factors. And you're like, I'm getting tired. A couple things you want to look at. Are you eating enough? Well, for me, going into this self-study, the answer is yes. I'm at the end of a MAS, literally at the end of a MAS. Today would be the last day of my MAS. I didn't go to the gym today because I'm experiencing systemic fatigue, so I did not go. But it would be the last day, and the last day for me to push hard. Now, I would have went, but I also injured myself, so that's how I knew to stay back. So, is my diet good? Well, the answer for me is yes. I knew my diet was good. I am eating 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day, 3,500 that is, which is mass for me. Like that's pretty heavy mass. And I've worked my way up. I'm going to just start eating 4,000 calories a day. Fuck no. I started at maintenance and I kept adding. Every week I'd add a little bit more. And that's what I did until I got to my mass peak. I hit the weight that I was shooting for right around when I needed to. So now it's time to back off. But a lot of people aren't. If you are on a super low carb diet, that might be part of it. That might not be the best time to be pushing hard anyway, because you're not going to get very far. That's just the reality of it. You need energy in your body. Are you getting enough protein? Are you eating enough to rebuild those muscle tissues and fibers after you have destroyed them in the gym? Again, the answer for me was yes. I'm tracking everything I'm making sure. So what was the big factor for me? I didn't take a deload anywhere in between. Again, I had planned for systemic fatigue. I knew it was going to come. So I should have taken a deload week about 4 weeks ago, kind of right in the middle of this longer cycle, right? In between two mesocycles is what I should have done. And I didn't. And again, I did that on purpose. But that is also going to be one of the biggest factors to let you know, hey, it's time to fucking take a break. Starting to get foggy at work, right? Your work is starting to slip. You're getting lazy. I hate that word, but that's the easiest way to describe it. You're getting lazy at work? Yeah, chances are you're about to run into systemic fatigue. So, what are a couple ways to get around that? Well, we've already mentioned one. Double check your diet, right? Because even if you're hitting all those calories and you're hitting your macros, look at the other shit you're putting in your body. Is it good for you, right? Are you eating still a lot of sugars, right? Are you not getting enough salt? That is a weird one too, right? Some people, bro, I got to cut salt out. Yes and no. You don't need to. Salts are, sodium is a natural electrolyte. You need that. That keeps us going. When you're drinking those expensive fucking energy drinks, what do you think you're actually buying? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're basically buying fucking salt and sugar in a can. Or in a bottle. That's essentially what Gatorade is with a little bit of flavor. So is your diet any good? Or is it really starting to affect everything else? Are you working out too much? Right? The average person, if you're a beginner, 30 to 45 minutes max 3 times a week in a gym is going to be fucking plenty for you. You'll be lucky to recover. And the main reason is because you are going to put so much fucking mass on, if you're doing things properly, of course, that you're just going to, you'll wear yourself out if you do any more than that, because your body is getting used to that growth and used to that stimulus. If you're, near the latter half of beginner into intermediate and you're 5 times a week, like I consider myself intermediate. I'm not advanced by any means. I'm not a beginner anymore either. I consider myself right there in intermediate, and I'm in there for a little over an hour just doing weight training, and then I'm doing 40 minutes of cardio, and I need to start splitting that up coming very, very soon because I'm there for 2 hours. I get exhausted very, very quickly by the end of that. And then I go to work for 8 to 12 hours. And I do that 5-6 days a week. So it means I was starting to run into that fatigue. I knew it was coming. So that's when it's time to reevaluate everything. You know, as soon as your technique starts slipping, and that goes for like all of our exercises in particular, right? Anything you do, like you do yoga, 7 days a week, and you can't do a fucking twisted lunge to save your life, and normally you can, well, it's probably time to take a bit of a break. If you have an injury and it's not recovering, it's probably time to take a break. So what's the easiest way to deal with that? Well, let's take it a deload week or an active recovery week. So we talk a lot about active recovery days. We need rest days. Well, we need rest weeks too. A rest day is great during the week, but in a month-long cycle, you need that extra little bit of rest. You might have to take a full week off. And that doesn't mean you're taking the whole week off either. So going into one of these rest weeks, a deload week, means a little something different to a lot of people. For me and a lot of weight trainers and bodybuilders, it means we're going into the gym, we're still working out, but we are not lifting nearly as much as we were. And that means a couple things. That means you can lighten your weight or lighten the sets and lighten the reps. So you want to do half the sets and half the reps in a deload week. That way you're still getting some stimulus. You're not going to lose that muscle mass that you gained in 1 week. It's not going to happen. It's physically impossible, unless, well, I don't want to say physically, like if you get sick, something might happen. But in general, it's not going to be enough for you to lose muscle mass. It's not going to happen, especially if you're still eating properly. If you start eating like garbage, you might gain some fat pretty quick, if you're not doing anything, but 1 week is generally not enough to make a difference. So it's all about going a little lighter than you were. That's kind of one of the tricks. And then when you come back to it and you really start pushing again, you're going to fucking feel like Superman. Right? You might go back in and go to do your bench press at 135 and be like, you know what? This is pretty fucking light. I'm going to throw 20 pounds on here. And then you do that. And then now all of a sudden you've hit a new PR. You're rested and you're ready to go for your next mesocycle. And then at the end of that cycle, you're going to, okay, you know what? I'm going to take another break, another active recovery week, another deload week. And sometimes it might be 2 weeks. You just got to listen to your body. Listen to the situation. You might be going on a trip where you're not going to have a gym or anything around you, and you're not going to be able to do it. And that is fantastic too, because then when you get back, you're going to be itching to get back in that gym and you're going to kill it. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much what I have for you this morning. Thank you guys very much for paying attention, for liking, subscribing. I'm going to get a little more visually better with some of these videos. I'm doing them all as I'm driving, but I'm working towards that. I've got an editor soon. We're going to start putting some shit together. So thank you guys so much. If you aren't liked and subscribed, fucking do it. All right, guys, you know the drill. Own your lives and get after it. Cheers.